Hey, everybody, this is Travis Hatton, and I'm back with another edition of Meet the Musicians of the Beaverton Symphony Orchestra. And we have today with us one of our relatively new cellists, Mr. Jackson Ross. Jackson, thank you so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
So, you are a fairly new member of this orchestra, but I understand that you have a fairly extensive musical background. When is it and how is it that you decided to start playing this instrument called the cello?
Oh boy. So I'd always been into music. We had a piano at home and I would just kind of noodle around on that. And I learned that you could have a lot of fun just playing the black keys and holding the sustain pedal down. Had a lot of fun with that. And one day at elementary school, the people who, they gave us the opportunity to see some string players come in because in fourth grade you could start taking strings at school. And I was definitely interested in what I saw. The cello was my first choice. And the reason is kind of embarrassing to share, but I was watching America's Funniest Home Videos, and there was a video of a guy playing Jaws on the cello to a kid while standing in the ocean.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, that's great. I really want to be able to do that.
You want
So
to
that was
do that.
just about that was the thought that went into it.
Okay. So
So
where
we went
was
down.
it?
Well, that goes on. So we went down to the instrument shop and they had no cellos to rent. So I played the violin in fourth grade,
Ah,
but I still wanted to play the cello. So somewhere in between fourth and fifth grade, our teacher, Bruce Purdy is his name,
mm,
gave me private lessons on the cello over the summer so I could get caught up in the fifth grade. And that was when I started playing the cello.
uh-huh. And this was not in the Portland area, was it?
No, this is in Salem.
Salem. Okay. So that's where you grew up.
Yep.
Huh? So here you are, a fifth grade cellist. How did you get to be from fifth grade cellist to the today Jackson?
Oh my goodness.
Virtual.
Well, I was pretty clear I had an aptitude for it and I liked it a lot. It was just, one of those things I did that I enjoyed. I didn't really start taking it seriously until I got to high school. Actually, probably one of the interesting things that it was a really, really real stroke of good luck for me was the neighborhood my parents moved into when I was 6, long before I ever started playing any instrument, happened to be where Sprague High School was. And in the late 90s, when I was in high school, happened to be when Sprague High School had a really, really good run of being a really excellent music program under Steve Nelson.
Mhm.
And so it just so happened by the time I got to high school in 95, it had a really, really excellent string and symphony program. And I got in there and I got moved up to the main program about halfway through high school, or my freshman year of high school. And just really took to it, At some point in there, I got introduced to classical music in a way that really made me love it and just took that off on my own. So when all my friends were listening to rock and R&B and rap and whatever else was going on, I was going down to the Salem Public Library and checking out classical music CDs, and I was buying scores from the Portland Sheet Music Company and listening to 89.9, and that was how I spent high school, and just dove into it. I mean, that was the thing I did when I was in high school.
Yeah. Well, that sounds, so you obviously were taking lessons this whole time as well.
Yes.
Sounds like you're preparing yourself to be a professional cellist.
I was, in fact, that was what I went to college for. So I actually started college as a cello performance major. I auditioned with the University of Oregon with Stephen Pology, and was accepted. And somewhere in there, something dawned on me that there was a difference between my love for it and the sort of fanaticism that I think you need to make a run as a professional.
Mhm.
I loved it. One of the things I found out or sort of realized as I got more into it was I was going to have to play a lot of things other people wanted me to play. And I just wanted to approach the music and the instrument on my own.
Mhm.
And so I was even trying to, I wanted to audition on versions of other music that I transcribed for the cello. And my teachers didn't want me to do that. And I sort of dawned on me that it was the thing I was going to love. And for it to stay the thing that I loved, I was going to have to approach it on my own terms and not on somebody else's terms. And so I decided to abandon that path and actually didn't play again for several years. The cello stayed in the case for a long time. I eventually moved to Japan for a lot of reasons, had my instrument over there, and I started picking it up again around the middle 2000s. Actually, I should take a step back. I came back from Japan. I went to the Oregon State University. I transferred, and I played in the Oregon State Symphony for several years under Marlon Byrd.
Oh yeah.
It was a great experience. That was a good orchestra to play in. But eventually, after that, I moved to Japan and I started getting involved in music. I actually started learning to play bass guitar. Played in a rock band. I learned how to play guitar, and I actually started playing cello in a bossa nova group. So I had to learn how to read chord sheets, which is a really good musical experience.
Mhm.
Um, and I came back from that, and I hadn't played in an orchestra for a long time until I discovered community orchestras, and it was about 3 years ago that I started doing that, and that was first time I had played with an orchestra, and I think it was 13 years
Mhm.
when I got on stage again.
Well, now, how is it that you managed to end up in Portland, though?
So I grew up in Salem, came back. When I came back from Japan, I had some friends that I knew pretty well that lived there, and so I was living with them for a while. Found a job in Hillsborough
Okay.
um, with Pacific University. Moved out to Forest Grove,
Mhm.
and then I met my current wife, and we got a house in Hillsborough,
Yeah. Okay. Right.
and that was where I was living when I started with Beaverton Symphony.
Okay. So here you are now, sort of getting yourself settled in Washington County, and you're
Mhm.
looking to play in an orchestra again. What is it that brought you to the Beaverton Symphony, and why does it? I mean, apparently, I mean, we're very glad that you have been brought to the Beaverton Symphony. Let me
Thank you.
say, but why Beaverton Symphony, and what is it that has so far kept you there?
So I played with a few different orchestras, got introduced to them, and it was I mean, especially at first, it was just fantastic to be playing orchestral music again with a group, and it discovered this sort of long lost love that I had. Not that I'd forgotten about, but just didn't really know what opportunity I would have to do it again
Mhm.
because it was always arranged through being in a school. But I started playing with some community orchestras, and through that, I found out about the Beaverton Symphony. And I think what I really noticed when I first joined was one, it was a higher level than I had been playing at for a while.
Mm.
The quality of the music was pretty high. I think the expectation that we would perform well was something I noticed was higher. Um, and I think you go to different orchestras, and I think some of them serve different purposes. So some of them are just for people who are learning, people who want to have a good time and get together, and that's great. And it's fantastic that that venue is out there.
Mhm.
But I think one of the things I noticed that was different about Beaverton was we really challenge ourselves too, and I think there's an expectation that we're going to do a good performance,
Mhm.
and some dissatisfaction if we're not living up to the standards that we hold for ourselves, and that's an environment that's really good for me. I think
Yeah.
if it's too relaxed, then I'll start to get frustrated.
Mhm.
And I like the challenge of the music, and I like the challenge of really trying to go out and perform as well as we can.
Okay.
That's very motivating for me. And so that was the environment that I liked, and as I played more, I got to know the people, and um, it's just an environment that I know and people I like, and it's where I want to stay.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is a part of it is just the community of the people that
Hmm.
has made you feel welcome, and a
Absolutely,
combination of that and being the right level of challenge for you.
right from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. Okay. Well, Jackson, that's and so you're now in the Beaverton Symphony Orchestra, and you're living in Hillsborough,
Hmm.
and you're all settled now, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, we have since moved to McMinnville.
Oh, I have you? Are
This
you
is
in?
where I am now. So actually, since October, I've been commuting for
Oh,
practice. Yep.
wow, wow. You haven't been working at home?
So I've been working from home, but before the pandemic, I was
Okay.
since October I had been driving up to Beaverton from McMinnville for practice.
Wow, yeah, okay. And but your job is still in Forest Grove?
It's in McMinnville actually. I changed jobs. Yeah,
Okay, all right. Well, we're glad.
me too.
So I do hope that you will continue to commute from McMinnville to the Beaverton Symphony, and we will obviously be getting back together again sometime. And I, for one, am really looking forward to seeing you again with you holding your cello.
Me too. I'm excited for these things we're trying to piece together the parts. In the meantime, that's kind of a fun challenge too. I'm having a good time with that.
Okay, Jackson. Well, thank you very much for joining us here today, and I think everybody would really appreciate getting to know you a little bit better.
You're welcome. Glad to do it.